All right, good morning. So I've been asked several times to show teachers how I create buttons for Canvas or banners for Canvas. And so that's what this tutorial is going to focus on. I'm going to try to show you kind of where I get some of my clip art, where I get some of my backgrounds, and then of course some of the tools in Keynote so that you know how to create your button. And then I'll show you how to take that finished button and then upload it into Canvas. So the first thing you do is you just start a blank Keynote presentation. I just tend to go with this plain white screen and start from there. So you have to think about on your Canvas page what shapes you really want your buttons to be. So in Keynote, when you get on here, you see that it has shape at the top and you have some choices. You've kind of got the square, which can also be a rectangle, depending on how you resize it. You've also got this kind of rounded rectangle, which is kind of cool. You've got circles and of course all these other shapes. The easiest one to use is the plain square rectangle. And I'll tell you that because when you're doing your screenshots, it's going to be the easiest way to make sure that you are making sure that all the buttons are the same size. So I'm just going to start with that today. If you want to get really fancy, you want to use something else, you can. So I'm just going to pop a square down here. And you'll see when it comes down, it is, and I notice I can just click on it and drag it. It is just a basic blue. So over here on the right-hand side, at the top, you have Format, Animate, and Document. So we're going to hang out today in this format with the paintbrush. And you can see fill. I have some choices. I could just make it a solid color. So if you want to make your button, a solid color, you can do that. You can also fill it with an image. So I'm going to show you how to do that, if you have a special background that you want to use, like you've gone to Teachers Pay Teachers or just anywhere on the internet and you found a background that you want to use, you can do that right there. I don't tend to do that. I usually do a drag and drop, but you can also choose it right there and then search through your computer. So if I do image fill, I can go to choose, and then it prompts me, spinning wheel of death, to find that file on my computer. So if that's comfortable for you, you can do that, okay? Notice you can add a border if you want, and then you can change the color of that border. This is not very attractive. I'm showing you how to do things. You can adjust the width of that border. So you can do a thick one or you can do a thin one. You can do no border at all. You don't have to have a border. And automatically the default is to give it this drop shadow. I prefer not to do a shadow on my buttons. You can do that. I just prefer not to. So I'm going to hit no shadow. But I don't really like how this looks. So what we're going to do, I'm going to make it the shape that I want. So the thing about, if I'm thinking about Canvas, I use a table to help organize my buttons. So I want to do a shape that kind of makes sense to me. So I tend to hang out with a square. You can do a rectangle that's longer. You can do whatever you want. Okay. If I'm making a banner, I probably will stretch it really far and I'll make this long skinny. So let's do that. Let's start with a banner. And know that you can apply anything that I'm going to show you here with the banner to a button. You can see I've got over here, this is a banner. I made it a little, shorter, a little wider. And these are my buttons. They kind of mimic that same shape. So down here, we're going to do a longer and kind of skinnier border. So to get my backgrounds, I'll just be really honest, I usually go to Teachers Pay Teachers. There are a ton of different options in there, and all you have to do, tie-dye is really popular right now, so I typed in tie-dye backgrounds, and you can see I've got just lots and lots of options of different digital papers. And you can see this one right here, it's on sale. So that one probably catches my eye the most. So what I would do, I want to add it to my cart. And I already have an account. So if you don't have a Teachers Pay Teachers account, then obviously you'll have to go through that process. I do not want this right now, so I'm going to remove that. And I'm just going to go through my secure checkout. Okay, so let's pretend that I bought that, because I love you all, but I don't know if I want to share my credit card information with you guys. So I've already purchased some paper. I'm not going to go with tie-dye because I haven't purchased that. I have no need right now to purchase. And I usually keep a folder on my screen on my desktop that's called art, and in that I keep all kinds of just my collections of papers. So I'm going to go and find something that looks really summery, because it is time for summer, and here are some of my papers. So I'm just finding them, and let's just go with some lime circles. So again, I could go over here to this choose button, and I could go through finding through all those folders, or I can just open it from my desktop. And when I select that, let's say I like it, I'm going to do pink. I can grab it, I can click on it, and then hold the click and drag it right into that rectangle. Okay, so this is what's called a mask. And I can take this and I can make it bigger or smaller. And it's not liking, of course, my shape. So I'm going to continue to make that bigger. Okay, so you have to play with it just a little bit. And then I'm going to click done. So there is my banner paper, and I still have that red border on there. So I'm going to go back and change that. So I'm just highlighting it, and I'm staying here in style, and I'm going to go to border, and I'm going to change it to black. And I'm maybe going to make that a little thicker. So I'm just going to up my border color. Okay, so that's pretty basic. So there's a shape. I found a background paper that I liked, and I just dragged and dropped it in there. And again, I could have just gone here, and I could have went to image fill and then hit choose and then imported it that way. So the next thing I need to do is I need to put my my text on there. So you have a list of fonts that are already available in Keynote for you, but I like, those cutesy fonts. So where I find mine, with that, let's see, let's go here. I'm going to go to DaFont, and in here you can see there are tons of just different really cool fonts. So since I have kind of this summer theme, I'm going to type summer, see what it comes up with, see if I like any of those. I will tell you my favorite fonts are the KG fonts. You can see I've searched for those frequently. You can find on Pinterest, you can go to Pinterest and put in like best fonts for this. And you can see here is Dancing on the Rooftop. I'm not going to use that one. KG is Kimberly Guesswin. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but she is the one who creates these fonts. So there's some really cute ones. Her fonts are really popular with teachers. So that's probably why I go to her. I like this kind of payphone. That's kind of cute. So over here on the right-hand side, it says download. I'm going to click download, and you'll see it pop down here at the bottom of my Chrome browser. And then it also went down here into my downloads. So any font that you download from DaFont, it's going to come in a zip file. A zip file is a way for them to take files that are big and kind of smush them into something that's smaller. So to open it, when I click on that, double click, it's going to unzip it. And so now I see the actual folder. So right here is that font that I like, the payphone font. Now you get a couple of things. Sometimes you get more than that depending on the font. This one just tells a little bit about the font. If I click on the .ttf, the .ttf file is what I actually want. So you can see if I click on it, if I come over here and I do a double click over here, I get the option to install font. So I'm going to hit install font. and wait for the spinning wheel of death. Okay, so now it's added to all the fonts that I have available. Now, because I already had Keynote open, it's not going to notice that I just downloaded that font over here in the format. I'm going to show you where you can get the fonts in 2 places. So if you download the font before you get into Keynote, you will find your font in the font list. If you download it while you're in Keynote, you're going to have to go up and find it in a different way, which is not a big deal. So let's do that. Let's go up and I'm going to click text and I get my little text box. So I'm going to move it up and I'm going to center it. And I'm just going to say Mrs. Copples, first grade. Okay, so again, I'm being really basic here. I'm just showing you basic things. I taught somebody this skill yesterday and they really appreciated it. But if you use command prompts on your MacBook, it makes your life a lot easier. So a command prompt is a shortcut way of doing something that takes a little longer doing it another way. If I hold the command button and hit the letter A at the same time, you'll notice it highlights all of that text. So instead of like having to drag and go across, I usually use my command A and I highlight the text. However you do that is fine, but that is a cool little trick that I like to use. So now over here under my format, I get the option to change my text. So instead of the default Helvetica, you can see I have all these fonts loaded in here, but I don't have the payphone one that I just downloaded. So if I go up to the top and I go under here where it says format and I go to font and I hit show fonts, I can go in here and now I will be able to find that KG payphone right there. Okay, so and you see it automatically changed my font over here. Now the great thing is once you use a font, you can see this line right here. Anything that I've used recently hangs out above the line, and anything that I haven't used recently hangs out below, which is really handy if you're trying to go back and you're adding lots of different pieces of text. Your ones that you've used currently will hang out there at the top. I don't know that I really particularly like how this font looks on my very busy background, so I'm going to go with something a little thicker. I'm going to go with my Second Chances, and then over here I can change the size. Okay, so again, we're being really, really basic. Now, if you look at that, that is really difficult to read on that very busy background. So I still, even though I've used a bold choice, I might go up here and grab another shape and I might kind of put this behind that text. So again, this is just me, right? So I'm going to resize it. And I'm going to go over here back like I just showed you, and I'm going to do just a basic white fill. Okay, now I do see it has that drop shadow. I kind of like that there. It's kind of setting the tone, but again, I can, once I click on that, I might go put a little thinner black line. See how that looks? Okay, I like that a little better. But now you see, I can't see my words anymore. So I'm going to move it out of the way just a little bit. And I'm going to click on my text. And I'm going to use 2 fingers. And I'm going to click my 2 fingers. And I'm going to say bring to front. So now I can slide that back up underneath. And there we go. That is a very basic banner. I don't have any clip art on there. I don't have, I don't have anything fancy. It's very sufficient, easy to see. Kids can get that, and they know that they're in the right place. Okay, so if I wanted to add some clip art, again, you could go to Teachers Pay Teachers, download some clip art. The key is you want something that's a .png file, because those are going to be transparent and they're not going to have that big white block around it. It's just going to be the clip art that you want. So I'm going to go back on my art and just to show you how, clip art can really add to that. I'm going to go back to my polka dots and lollipops. Popsicle Paradise. There we go. I'm going to go to Accents, and I have some banners in here. Let me add a little line banner. There's a little line banner I could add. And just resize it so it put it pretty big on here. So I'm just going to slide it. Let's say though, like it's retaining that shape. So if I need to stretch it out, when I do this, it's doing what's called constraining the proportions. So it's keeping it from looking too fat, too skinny. But every now and then you just kind of need it. I'm gonna go up here, look at that. They give me the image styles. It's gonna put some little, kind of give it some little depth up here. I like that. I'm gonna go to arrange. In this little box right here that says constrain proportions, I'm going to uncheck it because I'm going to stretch that out. But see, when I stretch it, it kind of gets it looking a little bit funky. So you don't want to do that with everything. Oh goodness, I don't want that. See how it put a banner? I didn't notice it was putting a little box around it. Let's just do that. All right, and now I can move this up where I want it. I can't say I love this, guys. I can't say that I love how this is looking, but it's okay. So notice I kind of left it overhanging up here at the top, but when I do my screenshot, I know I'm going to get rid of that, okay? So speaking of screenshots, let's do a screenshot. Usually when I do my screenshot, I put it in play mode. So I'm gonna put it in play. And I just do that because I feel like I get a bigger image. Now it's kind of tricky because I'm recording this in Zoom. So I have my Zoom toolbar at the top, and it is kind of going to make this a little tricky, but I'm going to use another command prompt. So I'm going to hit Command Shift at the same time. So Command Shift and the number 4. And when I do that, I now get this little bullseye target guy. Hopefully you guys can see that. I don't know if you can see it, but I get this little bullseye. I'm going to go to the corner, and I'm going to, as soon as I click, it's going to start to drag. You'll see it. So I'm going to click with I use my left index finger, and then I use my right hand, my left middle finger, or my right middle finger, to drag it. It's just how I do it. You don't have to do it that way. And notice I'm keeping it right on that line, and right on that right side line, and right at the bottom. And so it's going to take a screenshot when I let go of it. All right, hopefully you could hear that. I don't know if you could, but now you can see down here in the bottom right-hand corner. So that, my screenshots are set to go to my desktop. I think that might be the default, so hopefully your guys' do too. Now I have this screenshot hanging out over here on my desktop. Okay, so I'm ready to put this thing into Canvas, and I'm going to go into a Canvas page where I can just play around. Let's see. So I'm going to log in. And anything I put in, I can obviously go delete. So I'm going to go to my course. And since this is going to be my home page, you guys probably want to use either your PE or your health course to set up your home page, and then link out, put a reading button on your home page and link that out to your reading course. I'm going to go to this e-learning playground because that's where I was kind of playing around with some things just so you guys can see. All right. So when I'm on my home page, the key is I'm going to click edit. All right. And I'm going to delete all of this out here so that none of it's in here and you can't see any of it. So we'll just start fresh. So I'm at the top. And the first thing I'm going to do, I want to put a banner, and I want to make sure it's centered. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to choose to center. And now you see my cursor is hanging out there in the middle. I'm ready to put my banner in. So I'm going to go over here where it has the little image, and I'm going to hit upload image. And I can click here, and I can go to my desktop, and I can find that image on my desktop. I can do it that way, okay? Or I like to keep things when I'm working, I like to keep them on my desktop, and I like to move my screen over so I can grab it and drop it. It's just a lot faster for me. You can do whatever you like to do. But notice, because I took a screenshot, guess what? There's my Zoom tools. You'll see them on there. So it looks kind of podunk, but don't hold it against me, okay? So I'm going to put that there. You know what? I can't handle it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to screenshot that again. I'm going to do it not in play mode. So I'm going to go hit Command Shift 4, and I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to capture all of that right there. Now I'm going to get it without my zoom tools. I just couldn't do it, guys. Sorry. All right, so I'm going to go back to upload image, and I'm going to find my new screenshot. Where'd it go? There it is. I'm going to grab it and drop it, and then I'm going to hit submit. So when I hit submit, you're going to see my banner goes on, and it's teeny tiny, which is not good for a banner. So I'm going to click on the banner, and when I do, it highlights it in blue, and it says options. So I'm going to click on options, and I have some choices. I can make it small, medium, large, extra large, or I can customize it. I'm going to make it easy for you. I'm not going to go into custom, even though I end up usually customizing it. I'm going to hit extra large and just see where that gets it. So notice when I do that, it doesn't automatically change. I have to hit done. So once I hit done, it gets a little bigger. If you're still not happy with it and you want to make some changes, you can hit that, go to your options again. And under that customize, if you're just still not happy with how big it is, notice right now it's 640 by 163. I'm going to hit custom, and I'm just going to double it. So if I do, 640 times 2 is 1280. So yes, I just had to do that math. Do not judge me. Notice it automatically changed the right-hand side so that the proportions will stay the same, which is really nice. You can choose to unlock that and fix that. I like to leave it on because then I don't have to do the math on the other side. So I'm going to hit done, and you're going to notice it gets a lot bigger, and that just looks a lot better to me. Okay, really makes a statement. So now you can see on the right-hand side of my banner, I have my cursor. I'm going to hit enter, and now I'd be ready to add some buttons. So to add buttons, you're going to go through the same steps, the same processes in Keynote to create those buttons. They're just going to be smaller. But when you do this, it's good to put in a table. So if I click the table and I drag it, I'm thinking, okay, I have 12 buttons I need to put on my homepage. I'm going to do 3 rows of 4. So you can do 3 rows. Oops, that wasn't very smart. Let me do this. And although you can add them later. So I'm gonna go back to table, and I just draw a picture of what that looks like. I'm gonna do 3 rows of 4. If I messed up and I wanted to add, I can go in here and I can add a column. Okay, I can add a row. I can do that if I need to. But same token, on these, I'm gonna hold the shift key down because my cursor's here in the top left. I'm gonna go all the way to the last cell, and I'm gonna click in there, and it highlights the whole thing. And I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna center. So now you can see all the cursors are in the center. I did that in one step versus having to do it every single time I went into a new one. So the same process would happen for each button. So I would make sure it's centered. I would go up to my image. I would upload image. I don't have any buttons that are hanging out and ready to put in. So I don't know. I don't want to put that in. Let's just use I'm going to use my Vienna logo. Okay. So I'm going to put the Vienna logo in there and hit submit. And now that button's in there. Okay. So again, if you don't like the size of it, you can click options. You can go over and adjust that. So I would do that for each and every button. And that is how you do that. The only other thing I can think of is on this table, see how it has that border on it? It kind of looks, it's fine. If you like the border, go with the border. I don't like how it looks. So I'm going to click on this table, and I'm going to go here on the little table, and I get my table properties. I always have to think about that. And I'm going to go to advanced, and I'm going to select border style, and you can put a border. I'm going to hit none. Okay, and notice you can change your color and your background color if you want. I'm going to do none. So now when I hit save, I will just see, oh, I say that, and then look at that. What? Let me try that again. What happened? So I'm leaving this in here so that you can see that things do happen to all of us. Okay, so I'm going to go back to advanced and I say none. Oh, you know why? Because on general, it still says border width. I'm just going to delete that. Now, see, even though I said none, because the border width still said 1, it wanted to have a border. So when I do that, see how it changed to dotted? Now there's no border. So that is how you do that, if you're as nitpicky as me. So that's pretty much the basics. I hope that's helpful. I know I walked through it really quickly. You can always slow me down, pause, whatever you need to do, write your notes down. Or, of course, send me an email, ask for some help, and I'll come help you. Have a great day, guys.